Hey everybody! Team Flashy, Team Sassy Pants, Team Love, all the teams out there. Lisa Hubbard here. I promised you a recruiting video and I have been super swamped but decided after work this morning that it is time to get this made for all of you. So a little bit about where I'm at is I've been in the company since October of this past year, so just a few months. And I have 23 people on my team, 20 of which were my own recruits. And I think I had 7 or 8 recruits right off the bat the first month. So I was asked by our leaders to create this video for you just to give you some ideas of things that you can say to your hostesses or who to ask, what to ask, blah, blah, blah. So let's get started. I tend to be windy, especially when I'm tired, so I'll try to be quick with this. First of all, who are you going to ask? Okay, if you're relatively new in the business or company or not sure where to start, stick to your hostesses and your the people who order from your parties. That's a good place to start. If it's your hostesses, it's not a bad thing to ask everybody, but I definitely pay attention to the ones that are active in their party, the ones that are commenting on my posts, liking my posts, posting things in there like, hey everybody, there's only 7 days left or 5 days left, don't forget to get your orders in. Those people are the ones that I message immediately when I see that they're doing a good job posting, and I say, hey girl, you are doing awesome at posting. Have you ever thought about trying or selling this? You would be awesome. And then I also tell them, not only can you, have your own party and earn the hostess rewards, but you can also be making commission off this party too. That right there is going to at least catch their attention. And if it's not, then, they may not even consider it. But for a lot of people, that's going to at least catch their attention and say, tell me more. So that's a good place to start. If you're looking at asking just some coworkers, friends, family, people who haven't had parties for you, I always try to start with something huge. Like, if it's somebody that you just know loves makeup, like, hey, I know you love makeup. I'm selling this great stuff. Have you ever thought about doing it? You can earn all your own makeup for free and commission off of anybody who wants to sell it for you. And I'm not afraid to say, even if you never sell anything to anybody else, you could do it for yourself just to get discounted product. That comes off that you're not being quite so pushy and not that salesperson that's like so gung-ho about, your team selling. Even though ultimately that's what we want, is to have a good team under us who's willing to do some work and sell. You also want them to know that this is their business and they can run it how they want to. So, and even if they come on and just do it for themselves, they're still going to place orders for themselves, which helps your team, So it's always a positive thing for them to sign up, whether they do it for just themselves or whether they are out there actively selling to customers. So that's number one. Also, I have a lot of people who are like, well, my biggest fear is just asking. And the way I look at it now, I used to be a little hesitant too, and I still am afraid to annoy people, so I have a tendency not to push. If they tell me no, I might ask one more time, like down the road, but I'm not one of those that continues to constantly ask. And other people have different strategies, so you have to do what makes you comfortable. I'm just not comfortable asking multiple times when somebody's told me no. So I figure there's enough people in the world that I can move on and ask, 100 other people, rather than focusing on this one person who I'm, would feel like I'm forcing into doing it. So that's my take on it. And you have to, find your niche and how you do things. But the way I look at it the most is don't be afraid to ask, because have you ever been annoyed with somebody for asking you a question one time? I don't know about you, but I haven't. And even if somebody asks me twice, it's not that big of a deal. The only time I get annoyed is if I've told you once or twice and you just keep coming at me. Then I'm like, okay, how many times have I told you that I don't want to do this? So I've never been annoyed with somebody, even if it's something that I would never even dream of or something that I absolutely don't like. I'm not offended or upset or annoyed by somebody asking me once. So remember that. Think about how it is when people ask you to do something. Even if somebody asks you to host a party and you don't want to for another company, did it really annoy you that bad, or did you just say, oh, no thanks, I'm not really interested, end of story? Not a big deal. And the more that you do this, the more that you'll feel that way, because it was really hard for me to ask, and there were people that I saw their profile pictures, and yes, this is totally judgmental, but you look at them and you're like, they don't even look like they wear makeup. They probably would never want to have a party. And next thing you know, they're the ones that actually want to join and sell. So don't ever judge a book by its cover in this business. You never know who's going to approach you or who's going to say yes when you approach them. So don't be afraid to ask everybody, and don't be afraid to ask at least once. It's not going to hurt anything. So that's a good way to look at it. Okay, so now you've tossed it out there and you've got your person to say, yeah, give me more information. So what do you say? Here are my main points that I toss out there. First of all, I lead with something positive. Like, all of these points that I give are like the main drive at home points. Like, this is what everybody that is in Younique right now loves about the company. Okay, first of all, you get your starter kit for $99. Some people think, how am I going to come up with $100 extra for this? Okay, well, you pay $99, but you're going to get over $200 worth of free, or not free, but half price, full-size product. And I always make sure to say full-size product, because not every company does that. A lot of direct sales companies give you samples. So that's important for them to know. And they can either use that product and try it themselves so they can give feedback to their future customers, or they can sell it and make their money back on it, and then eventually, after some sales, purchase their own product to try themselves. Personally, I used it for myself. And what I didn't use, I used as giveaways. So that's how I did things. But anyway, that's a great promotion right there. Your starter kit is $99. You're going to get this much in free, or you're in half price product. And so if you choose never to do anything else with your business, you just got a heck of a deal on product. First point. Second, I talk about commission, and I don't bring up the chart that has listed, all the different levels of Younique and what kind of things you have to have for sales and recruits and all that. That's too much information. All I tell them is you can make 20 to 25% commission on every sale, and you get paid within 3 hours. End of story. If they ask you more later, then you can get more involved and explain the chart, or send them the chart and let them know, this is kind of how the commission works. But until they ask, that's all I give. Third point, if you join, we will end your party now if they're a hostess and have a party going, or you start your own party, and not only are you earning commission, not only are you getting your product at a good deal just for joining, but now you're also going to earn hostess rewards just like you would if you held a party for myself. So those points right there are basically where I start. If your paragraph isn't too long, keep it short, one little paragraph. Don't vomit your information, otherwise it gets to be too much, and the person it's too much information for them to gather, and it's just like, oh, that's too much for me to even deal with. So keep it short, keep it simple, keep it positive, keep it to the top points of our company. The other thing I might stick in there is that I'm a full-time nurse. I have a busy lifestyle, and I chose this direct sales company over another direct sales company because I can do everything online. I can multitask from my phone, and I don't have time for home parties. So I'll also stick out there that, they can do home parties if they want to, but if they don't, they can do it all online. So those points right there are the most important. Other than that, I present them with that information, and then I wait for them to ask questions, and then you can answer appropriately. The other thing is I try to talk to them just like I'm talking to you right now, pretty down to earth, just like I would to a friend or, my family member, because people don't want to feel sold on something. So if you get too structured with your words or too scripted with your wording to where you're sounding like you're reading from a book or like you're a computer, then they're going to feel like you're just trying to sell them on something, and they don't want that. I also try to be as honest and upfront as I can. If people ask me about a negative aspect of the company, I'm not afraid to tell them about it, but then I try to turn it around to where it starts off negative, but it ends positive. So if somebody says, well, I mean, do your parties do well? I'm not afraid to tell them that I have dud parties, and I'm not afraid to tell them that I have quite a few dud parties. That's why the numbers are important. That's why you hear the leaders in this company all the time saying, host no less than 5 to 10 parties at a time. Because out of 10 parties, you're going to have a couple duds. You're going to have a couple that might have a few sales. You're going to have a couple that do moderately well, and then you're going to have a couple that blow it out of the water and the hostess is awesome and they do great. But out of 10 parties, you may have 3, 4, 5 parties that are duds. And that's just how it is. That's why the numbers are so important. If you keep your numbers up, you're eventually going to have the sales to go with it. I've been blue level status for the last 3 or 4 months now, and I mean, I jumped into pink status I think within my first or second month. So it's like I've been pretty consistent, and I consistently have parties going, and as soon as they end, I get out there and I get more started. So that's really important to keep consistent with that. Be consistent with your parties. The numbers are important, but yeah, back to the I'm not afraid to tell the people honestly that, yeah, I have dud parties, but here's the positive side of it. Even if you have a dud party, you still have all those members that hostess added to her party to ask for future parties. So it's not ever a waste of time. The only waste of time is if your hostess never adds her friends and never does anything in the party to where you can't even get it started. And in that case, you wasted like maybe 10 minutes of asking her to host the party and getting it initially set up. So, don't ever hesitate to let them know the honest aspects of the business. I find that if you are honest and aren't just always like, oh, it's wonderful and that's it. There's never anything negative. If you're like that, people are going to know you're fake because there's negative to everything. But if the negative's not that negative and it turns into something positive and you can make something good of it, then it's not really that negative. So that's how I try to run things. If you stay honest with your people, then they're going to trust your word, trust you better, and be more willing to come under you. And that's about all I do, I guess. So if you have any questions, let me know. Those are my strongest points that I make. Try to keep it short, simple, let them ask the questions, and go from there because they are going to be curious about it. And something that's huge that they ask a lot of times is, well, how much money do you really make? I know I asked Cassandra when she first talked to me about signing up. So, if you are just getting started or you haven't really worked your business that much yet to where you've made a lot, you can just explain that. Honestly, I'm just getting started in working my business, but there's a lot of people in our team who are doing quite well and they're not putting that much effort into it. So you can say things like that. Or if you have had a great party, you can say, you know what, I made this much off of this one party. It can happen, and it's happening to women all over the place right now. That Younique is the biggest growing business. So you don't have to necessarily give them a number. Personally, for myself, I've had some really good months, and I can honestly tell people that the least amount of money I've made in a month's time is $450. So I'm not afraid to toss that number out or give them a range of this is the least, this is the most I've made in how many months. So add it up. It's a car payment. It's a new piece of furniture. It's a manicure. It's an extra date night with your husband. I mean, it's up to you on how much time you put into this business, and I try to stress that to them. This is your own business. Yes, we want you to be out there selling like crazy and having 30 parties at a time, but that's not feasible for most people, especially if you work full time. But I'm not afraid to tell them how busy my life is, the things that I do, my work schedule, and that I still find time to do this. If you want to make money in this business, you will find a way. For instance, in my job as a nurse at the hospital, busy job, I work on a med-surg unit, which is one of the busiest units, one of the units where you have the most patients. So, I don't have a ton of free time in the evenings on the nights that I work to post. So what I do, I purposely don't take a lunch where I physically go in the break room and sit for 30 minutes. I grab my food and I'll sit out at the desk and chart and eat. And that's how I take my lunch. So that way, if I want to run into the break room and post a few posts, I can. And I'm not taking away from my work time to where my bosses are saying, you're on your phone too much. No, I did it in 15 minutes on my break time. So, there's things like that you can do to alter your life a little bit. And if you just absolutely decide that, you don't pick your phone up until 10 o'clock at night, then your business may suffer a little more than others. But that's your choice. And that's the beauty of this business, is you can run it how you want and how you wish. So work it around your life, or work your life around it, depending on, however you want to coordinate that. So I hope all of this helped you. Let me know if you have any questions. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy Cinco de Mayo.